All right, I will call this Tigard City Council business meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councillor Anderson.
Here.
Mayor Snyder.
Here.
Youth Councillor Turley. Here. Council President Goodhouse.
Here.
Councillor Newton.
Here.
Councillor Lube.
Here.
Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Staff and council, any non-agenda items?
None from staff, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll move on to public comment. We have nobody signed up. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak who did not sign up? All right, we'll move on. As City Manager Wine, is there any follow-up to previous citizen citizen comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, consent agenda. These items are considered routine and may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Anyone may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Tonight we're approving or planning to approve City Council minutes for 4 meetings and then award an enterprise license agreement to Environmental Systems Research Institute, Inc. for Geographic Information Systems Services core software. Is there any discussion or a motion on the consent agenda?
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item number 5, consider a resolution appointing Deputy City Recorder. City Recorder Krager, you are going to present this item.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Section 22 in the city's charter states that in the absence from a council meeting, the mayor shall appoint a clerk of the council pro tem who can fulfill all the duties and obligations of the recorder. This assures continuity of job functions and services of the recorder office. Caroline Patton was hired in December, and I recommend that she be empowered by the city council to act as city recorder at any time in my absence or unavailability.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution 20-08.
I second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution 20-08, a resolution of the Tigard City Council appointing Caroline Patton as deputy city recorder.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, you are appointed, and I'm going to give you a City of Tigard pin. Congratulations.
She's official.
And you guys can all clap. Oh, you already have one? Well, maybe you want to take that one. You want to take that one off and put that. It's always good to have a backup one. Congratulations. That just tells us how committed you are to the city. You already have the pin on. All right, we'll move on to item number 6 on the agenda, contract award to RCH Studios for Universal Plaza activation, design, and project management project. Mr. Fairley. And purchasing manager Moody as well.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Sean Frowley, Redevelopment Project Manager. I'm going to spend a minute giving an overview of what we're going to be talking about tonight, awarding the contract for the Universal Plaza. The Universal Plaza is really a once-in-a-generation opportunity to provide a signature public space for downtown that'll attract residents of all ages. So first, Christine Moody, the Finance Department, will talk about the procurement process. And then we'll have Kim Knox of Shields Oblitz Johnson, who's the city's owner's rep. We'll talk about management of the project. And then we'll turn it over to Peter Emerson and Carolyn Samita of RCH Studios, along with Alicia Sullivan of ADS, to talk about their design approach to designing the plaza and activating the plaza.
Good evening, Mayor Schneider and City Council. I am Christine Moody. I am the purchasing manager. And we are here tonight asking for your approval to award a contract to RCH Studios for the Universal Plaza Activation Design and Project Management Project in the amount of $643,300. The city issued a qualification-based selection request for proposals in October of 2019, and on November 21st, 2019, received 4 responses. Staff reviewed and scored the proposals based upon the evaluation criteria of project understanding and approach, design consultant team qualifications, design consultant team experience, and similar projects. After careful consideration, including follow-up interviews, RCH Studios was the highest ranked proposal, and staff is recommending a contract award. I'll turn this over to Kim Knox now to speak more about the project.
Thank you, Christine. So hi, I'm Kim Knox. I'm with Shields Oblitz Johnson. Microphone over here. Got it. Kim Knox, Shields Oblitz Johnson. We've been hired by you all to provide project management services on your behalf for the project. As you all know, this is a hugely significant, as Sean described, once-in-a-generation kind of opportunity in Tigard. And it's a very high-profile project in that regard. And so city staff felt it was really important to have that continuity all the way from design through construction. And that happens to be kind of what our firm does. So we were hired 3-4 months ago to help kind of get the project organized and off to the races. Been basically an extension of city staff in that regard. So working quite closely with Kenny and his staff, Sean and everyone else. And so we managed the design team selection process. So I had a great opportunity to see, I don't know if you know the details of it, but it was a very, there were 4 very different but very high quality, very different approaches to doing something that's a really unique approach that the city's trying to accomplish here in the form of design and activation. So had the great opportunity to meet all the teams, and it was a real tough decision, as Councilwoman Newton knows, and so she was firsthand, and I would encourage you to talk to her about what she saw in all those teams, because it was hard, because all the approaches were quite different. So our firm's been brought on because we do, like I say, have that experience in working on projects all the way from the very early stages, from financing and kind of public organization around something, all the way through construction. And so we've been brought on to do that. We work on a lot of civic projects. Currently our firm's working in Eugene on the Civic Plaza there, working with Gladstone on their City Hall and police facility. So really understand kind of what kind of scrutiny and bright lights you are all under when you do a project like that. And so that's our job, is to kind of manage this process with the high level of accountability that you all have to the public in this process. So like I said, the RFP had a great high level of interest, very creative process, and I know staff is quite thrilled, as am I, with the team that came out of it, and that's the team that's before you tonight. RCH, staff asked us to look a little bit about how because it's a different kind of process, how does this shape up fee-wise and kind of cost-wise to other comparable projects. And always the easy thing is, well, there's no other comparable project, because no one's really attacked a project quite the same way this is set up, with the design learning from the activation phase, which is a very hands-on kind of approach. So there wasn't really a direct one-to-one way we could look at it, but we did look at kind of just peel out the design, the programming / activation design and final design process and fees, and we compared them to a couple projects in the Willamette Valley that are going on right now, and they looked like they fell kind of right in the range for something this size and the scale and the budget, that the fee came in kind of a sweet spot in the middle of all that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the design and activation team and let them introduce themselves.
Great. Do you want to start, Alicia?
Sure. My name is Alicia Sullivan. My company is Art Design Situation, and I specialize in art-based events and activities, art installations, both permanent and temporary, and was pulled into the process by the Tigard team as one of the possible activators from the community. And I run the Portland Winter Light Festival and have been doing community-facing art events for many years now. And I'm excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Carolyn. I work with Peter, landscape architect, and I'm local here to city Portland. So I'm excited to work on a project here.
And I'm Peter Emerson. I'm a studio director of the landscape practice at RCH Studios, and we're so super excited to be here tonight. So we does that work? Did I press the wrong one? We might need help. There we go. Great. So we understand the site's challenging, and it's unique. Situated between Ash and Main on Burnham, it's not exactly at the center of downtown, but we are super excited that it's at the threshold between the Fana Creek Trail and nature and your downtown, and I think there's such a great opportunity there. And you'll see some of our ideas about how to build enthusiasm for the project right away tonight, and also what we might end up ultimately doing as far as a long-term permanent design for the park goes. We have a lot of experience working in civic public realm projects in a variety of places. We understand that each place is unique, and we don't have any one design aesthetic or one design style. We really look to the place in the community and respond to that. That's a really important value of ours. Our office is also unique in that we do everything from product design. We even have a line of shirts that we're making, and all the way up to urban design. So we do architecture, environmental graphic design, we do product design, branding, landscape architecture, interior design. So we really have a broad range of experts in-house. We are located in Los Angeles, but we've just signed a lease on a small office in Portland, and so we're excited here. We have 3 full-time people living here, and we have room for 8. So we'll see what happens, but we're just really excited to be here tonight, Tiger. The red one. Okay, got it. Okay, so we really appreciated how thoughtfully the RFP was written, and as soon as we read it, we thought that this town really is ambitious and inspired, and we really like this approach. We're familiar with testing ideas through short-term improvements, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute or two, but we dove in, and we understand this idea was initiated with the 2005 Downtown Improvement Plan. It was further articulated in 2018 with the vision study, and since Gail's involvement, there's been a public space, public life study, and which shows some really thoughtful research and observations from here in downtown. We've read all of those reports. We know them pretty well. We've worked with Gail in the past, and we really appreciate that there's baseline data and all of these observations to help just get us started. So all of that work will be incorporated into the process as we get started with the team here. The goals that were established are wonderful. These are great aspirational goals. The design drivers are really spot on. And so we just wanted to articulate how we've addressed some of these goals in other places. In Grand Park in downtown Los Angeles, we took what was a largely vacant civic open space and transformed it. We worked with our water feature designer, Jim Garland, at Fluidity to renovate a historic fountain and create an interactive splash pad here. This is really a local amenity. This is on my jogging route. It's a really important part of downtown living, but it's also a regional attraction. And being able to do both is really important because there won't be a need for it to be a regional destination every day, but you will need it to be a neighborhood park every day. Press a little bit harder. We also love storytelling. We embed opportunities to tell a story, in this case, describing different plant communities from around the world that are representative of the diverse communities in Los Angeles. We also know how to make the best of our resources. We really aspire to get a big bang for your buck. And in this instance, we were working on a really huge site, a former manufacturing site, where on a per square foot basis there was very, very little money. But we infused a ton of colorful and attractive elements such as paint and signage and furniture, and we really aimed to activate the site with pretty minimal resources. So we like the challenge of working with fewer resources but still getting the same impact. But we also understand the importance too of being unique to your place. And so this is a project we worked on in San Antonio, Texas. And we just included this to indicate that we fully intend to get to know your community better and work with the staff to really understand your community better and respond to that. And we really like this interface of the natural and the urban, or the downtown and the natural world, and we think there's great opportunity here to do that. And I think just lastly, we're really inspired by the concept of this being universally accessible to everybody. This is an example of a project that's about to go into construction in downtown Houston, which deals with a significant amount of grade change, and we incorporated an accessible path at every corner and really opened up what currently is a closed-off site for people with limited mobility. And we did things like take a water feature and split it open so you actually can interact with it, no matter how you move around. This is a nice transition to Alicia and talking about how we're looking forward to activating the site, building excitement for the site, building enthusiasm in the downtown business community for this project through near-term activation. And one of the things that we proposed that was probably distinctive from the rest, I'm actually quite sure it was, is that we recommended taking the existing plumbing store down entirely and opening up the site, allowing people to realize that there's this new open space in downtown Tigard that can be a really wonderful asset for the community. It has a great connection to Fano Creek Trail. It's right on Burnham. The building would require very significant structural improvements to be an assembly space, so we think the best approach is clear it out. Let's get things happening on the site in the near term and test some ideas. So you'll see a little bit about that in just a minute.
Yeah, so talking about kind of building on the pent-up desire that exists to see this place moving forward and having things going on right away. The city included activation and engagement in the RFP, and so the idea of doing that, I wanted to just touch on what that actually means, because that can be a little bit vague, but the idea is that we will begin programming the space immediately with elements, temporary pieces of art, potentially installations, events, and things that people can come and check out in a more pointed way. So say they come down to an event, and then also in a daily way. So, you know, they're walking their dog to the dog park and there's a reason to stop by. And so we get the space into people's mind as a place where you can go and have it start feeling like a park. So let me see if I can make this thing happen now. So this is all about building on the excitement and creating enthusiasm right off the bat, right out of the gate. So those activations can take a lot of different forms, and we'll be going through a process of defining that. But art installations, furniture objects, all sorts of things like that, events, those are the kind of things that get people to remember that there is a place to go to and that they can check it out. So one of the key elements, I think the key to the success of these activations and events is going to be collaborating with the community in one way or another. So bringing in, you know, key local stakeholders, business owners, Parks and Rec maybe, the Downtown Alliance, local nonprofits or school groups, and finding out what they want to see there and if they want to collaborate in some way on these events. So that's going to be really, really key, and we want to work with your community, obviously, so that it creates this kind of hybrid between you know, community, people seeing what they want, and then kind of infusing those events and elements with innovation and excitement and creativity from Peter and his team, and things that are kind of further afield, a little bit outside the box, which is the really exciting part of this approach, is that you can do something temporary and learn from it, and, you know, just get people jazzed about the space and get them used to going down there. So I think the strength in this approach is really that the public will be able to play and engage with the place before it's set. And so I'm very excited about this project, and in particular about this part of the process. Back to you.
So we welcome an inclusive.
Thank you.
Yep. We welcome an inclusive process. This is an image from a public outreach process that we did at Drake Bridge Commons in Austin, Texas, and we did everything from the graphic design and the posters to the activities that we put on site. But it's super important, and we think the activation phase is perfect opportunity to dovetail public outreach with temporary activation and building excitement for the site. We often do a lot of activities, like, you know, one of them is build your own park, or, you know, red green stickers for things you don't like, things you do like. This provides maybe an opportunity to go even further. Definitely, it provides an opportunity to go further. With Gail, we worked on the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica. Very different public open space, but similar approach in that we can test ideas in a real quick near-term fashion, and we learned things from this. And so we tested ideas about play, gathering, places to sit, where people preferred to sit, whether or not shade was a welcome addition, where performances should occur, and so forth. And we did all of this in just a few months, you know, from start to finish, and got it out there for the summer last year. And it informed the long-term design that's taken shape since then, in a pretty significant way. So we think this approach works, but ultimately the goal here is to execute a vision for the future of the site, and we're just super excited to do that. We've assembled a team of folks. Some of us are here, Carolyn, front and center. We also have in-house an experiential graphic design lead, a design partner, who's a dedicated team back home. Alicia, who you've heard from, we're working with a set of local technical consultants that bring a real depth of knowledge. These are folks that we've worked with in the past as well. We know them. And we've also brought on some real visionary national design leaders like Jim Garland, our water feature designer, who's just really an inspiring person. He really understands how people interact with water and how to build a lot of excitement through interactive water features. So we're super excited to have him on the team. This is an overview of the schedule. What this is allowing us to do over the next few months is develop the ideas that we've already started thinking about near-term activation, prepare the site to have these activities occur, and we're allowing ourselves a full year of things to happen on site. So this includes 4 events that currently take place in downtown, occurring on site or as overflow onto the site, as well as 3 additional events and public outreach events. We're targeting 3 milestones for those. We'd like those to occur on site as well. And we're going to use those lessons to develop a long-term vision for the site. So that's not going to happen right at the beginning. We're going to do this temporary activation stuff. We're going to learn from it. We're going to build a vision, engage the technical consultant team to develop technical drawings, engineering plans, and execute the project from there. So we think it's a really smart and ambitious approach, and we're just, again, really excited to be here.
Well, thank you. Council questions or comments? Council President Goodhouse?
I have a couple. One, I just want to get a little more detail on events. It kept saying events were thrown out, but not really detail. And also, you said 4 events that already happened downtown, and then you thought about 3 other ones. If you could just mention kind of what those are, and then I had a follow-up on those based on what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the events that occur downtown would be the Taste of Taggart, and then some part of the street fair, potentially Latino Fest, the Christmas tree lighting, and then another event to be named later.
Trick or treat.
Yeah, I guess it could be a Halloween event. I mean, traditionally, art walk, right?
What I guess I was asking about too is because we do movies in the park, we do concerts, we do things like that. If those are going to be considered and looked at as well, as far as downtown's limited right now, but are we also looking outside of it of what events may not happen, but what could be happening there? So that's why I want to kind of get an idea too, so we look at some of those as well, as far as looking at how those engage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met with the recreation coordinator recently, and we talked about the idea of a movie in the park, and they're going to look into that and kind of pencil it in. So that will most likely happen.
All right.
Yeah, and we're counting on working with the city staff and hearing from all of you too on ideas that all of you have on curating other events. And so we haven't come in with all of that solved, and we intend to do that as a collaboration. And we want to pick some points in that timeline that make the most sense, and couple it maybe with design milestones where we can reveal more information to the community, get some additional feedback. But over the next month or 2, we'll be defining those ideas a little bit more clearly, but we want to do that as a collaboration.
So that kind of dovetails my second part then. What I would like to see, or either maybe suggest, was see how more of the public can be involved, whether it may be a stakeholder group or something like that, where you can have members of the committee that can be on there, where you have someone maybe from the downtown, maybe someone from the business, maybe someone from the schools, but create a stakeholder committee that can actually take in this input and listen to all the different communication and then work on it from there. So we make sure that when comments are brought in, they're actually heard then too by the community and by the downtown, rather than just kind of relying on us or staff. But we can also have more of a thorough way to, when those comments do come in, they can also be you have people that can speak on them and be cheerleaders for those. So I'd really like to see that as a process, because I think sometimes that gets lost in between there.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, part of our communications plan is going to have a stakeholder committee. And yes, school district is, we hadn't thought of that, but that would be a good additional
stakeholders.
Yeah, because if we have the kids are going to be
Yeah, I
touring.
actually think the Youth Advisory Council as well.
We're learning from the library. We don't make it creepy. There's a
We had a design issue in our library.
and we found out the youth thought that parts of it were creepy and didn't want to
We
go
thought it
to
was cool.
We thought
Adults
so.
thought it was cool, kids didn't.
And seniors, so it might be good to have a senior school, downtown businesses. You get entertainment vendors, all those, so they can kind of look at those different aspects. They might not think about how you can get things in there, how you can engage it, young to old, all the different, and some outside events, maybe even someone from further out that does events.
These are excellent ideas.
Other comments or questions? Councilor Anderson?
So what do you think about the size of the lot? You probably have bigger projects going on in these other cities. It's
Well, yes, we do. But I think the size is quite generous for a downtown of this size. And I think we should definitely look at it as an opportunity to incubate more interest in downtown. And I think this is very much a scenario of let's build it and get more people to come. And but the size is quite generous, I think, for the scale of this community. And I think the biggest challenge, though, is the proximity to the intersection of Burnham and Main, and that it's not necessarily going to be visible or front and center in people's mind. But the scale of it seems right. It's if anything, it might be a little large.
okay. Good.
I was going to say, if I learned anything in my first year or two as a city councilor that was so opposite of what I thought, it was that making too big of spaces for public is much more problematic than I ever knew. And that was just very counterintuitive to me, but I think it's a great question.
And
Counselor-
go ahead.
Councilor Lube?
I just want to say this is such an important project for the city, and it has such important future generational impacts of being a gathering space. And I'm so excited to see what it becomes and the way that we are changing our downtown and being more inclusive and looking forward and thinking outside of the box. These are all things that I'm really excited to see what you come up with and what the community comes up with, just so this can really be a community space that everybody feels and they want to be at. So I'm just excited and ready to go.
Okay. Council President Goodhouse? Oh,
Well, I was
Counselor
fortunate
Newton.
enough to see all the presentations, and what excited me the most about this group was the idea of developing the temporary installations with the community. I mean, they had me thinking, okay, everybody's going to want to go down there every week to see what's going on down there now. And the conversations they had about, for example, I'm not saying this would happen, but there's interest from the TDA and the chamber about maybe trying a night market. Okay, well, if that's something that there's an interest in, then that
we can experiment with it.
that gets developed, and you have these temporary installations to try that. So I just think building the enthusiasm for the site as we're working on it and having people say, yeah, that's great, or that doesn't work so well, was one of the things that the team, even though it was hard to pick, that the team liked about this site. They gave us an example of, I think it was that LA example you used. They had done a temporary stage installation on one end of a project, not really thinking about the fact that it was adjacent to a neighborhood. And so trying that out didn't work too well, so they moved the stage after, as the site was finalized, to the center, and did some work around it so that it could be kind of a stage in the round, if I'm getting it right. But that's an example of them trying some things and then sort of retooling it as they work with the community on that. So I thought that, that was an exciting process. So I'm excited to see how they activate it. And you do a light project in Light. Talk a little bit about that.
So I run the Portland Winter Light Festival, which just happened a couple weeks ago, and it's temporary installations, art installations that are light and technology based.
But that's an example of something, you might try and see how it goes, see how people respond to it.
So this design approach sounds like it's almost like a continuous improvement type of design process. Is that the way we should think about it to some extent, or at least experimenting and try? I mean, that really is what, plan, do, study, act, typical quality improvement looks like.
Yeah, I would say for the first year, that's correct.
Right.
But at a certain point, we're gonna have to put a pin in it and
Yes.
build it. Well, I mean, maybe you'll decide just keep doing
It's gonna keep
temporary
staying that way.
activation, but we also think it's very important to build something permanent. But it's a unique approach, and we think it's really forward thinking of you all to take this approach.
Council President Goodhouse?
One comment I just after through the additional conversations is I keep hearing you saying from that site down to Main Street, but future going on in a couple of years, we have actually from Hall down to Main Street, and we're looking at taking this property right here and having a big, huge development. So I wanted to kind of correct that, where it's going to be more of a follow through. Don't be focusing Main, but think between Hall and Main on this project. And a thought I had is that this is going to be an ever-changing. A way to keep people involved and keep people's comments going might be interesting. Maybe you put some like live webcams or something so people can check in and see what's going on this week or how it's changed, or you can see the people moving around and moving it changing. So someone say, oh, now it's changed. I want to go down and check that out this time. And the last thing might be good for the stakeholders meeting would be someone from the river keepers or someone from the environmental side with it backing up against the wetlands in the park. You don't want to start developing something and start doing something and you get the whole backside of it saying, well, you're affecting the wildlife or the light pollution or any of that stuff as well.
Yeah, those are both really good suggestions. I think the live webcams one is especially interesting, especially if there's things popping up randomly.
Jump on it, they can comments and say, well, like this, change that, or this worked before.
Councilor Turley?
I would encourage the environmental aspect as well. I think it looks like you guys have an ecologist on here as well. I think that's very important, and I would also encourage you guys to work closely with the Youth Advisory Council. I think the youth are a potentially major stakeholder in this space and the plans for it. So I'd strongly encourage you guys to work closely with them. But I'm excited. I think it has really cool potential, and I'm excited about all the stuff you pitched today.
With all that, is there a motion?
I move for the approval of the contract award to RCH Studios for Universal Plaza activation, design, and project management project.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all very much, and if you can't tell, we're all quite excited. You definitely have high, we have high expectations, so.
We have high
And for the
ambitions.
folks that might be working on this project from LA, it rains here. Think about that in the design. I'm sure the folks you have on your team who do live here won't forget, but.
That's their source from the water feature.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. All right, we have no non-agenda items. City Manager Wine, do you have an administrative report?
Yes, Council, I have just one item on administrative report tonight. I wanted to give you an update and just a brief one about activities related to the U.S. Census. Just a reminder, as we move into March, you're going to start hearing out in the community about invitations going out for people to begin to take the census, which is online, if you recall, for this year, and Census Day is April 1st. Some of the things that our folks have been doing, we've been participating regionally in training frontline staff for questions that are coming up about the census. We also, you heard back in the fall when our census representative came to talk to us about historically underrepresented groups. So we've got a couple of staff folks from our planning and our library departments who are participating at the regional level on our Complete Count Committee. As that outreach is moving on, there's a major outreach effort that's underway through Dancing Hearts and also We Count Oregon and Tigard, and our neighboring cities and other local organizations are all participating in that way. So mostly I just wanted you to know that some of the intent that you stated back in the fall about the way the city would participate is underway. There's less of a desire for the city as an institution to be participating and a lot more focus on engagement and outreach at the community level. So that's all underway, and you're going to be hearing more about that as we go forward in March. So just an update for you about census activities.
All right, thank you. The Tigard City Council will go into executive session to review a public official under ORS 192.660 subsection 2I. All discussions are confidential, and those present may disclose nothing from the session. Representatives of the news media are allowed to attend executive sessions as provided by ORS 192.660 subsection 4, but must not disclose any information discussed. No executive session may be held for the purpose of taking any final action or making any final decision. The City Council will adjourn from the Red Rock Creek Conference Room at the conclusion of the executive session.